back, Spyder, I'm back. Okay, because I want to talk about things I said I wanted to talk about the NFL after I watched the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the BC Lions in the Western Final in Winnipeg. And I want to talk about the Eastern Final in Toronto, okay? And I want to talk about the Grey Cup, 109th Grey Cup in Saskatchewan coming up on Sunday. And I'm not going to be there, but I always, if I'm not there live, I always do like have a little Grey Cup get together, you know, and make some maritime seafood chowder, and I watch the Grey Cup, watch the whole thing when it first comes on right to the end, you know. So that's why I'm so dedicated. So what I did, you know, I put out a different set today because of that, and I got all my Grey Cup hats. My last session I didn't talk about that, including 2007 Grey Cup in Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when the coach of the Toronto Argonauts, DeWitty, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'll probably get crucified because I might have forgot how his pronunciation of his name. I think that's it. Actually, Kevin Glenn got injured, and DeWitty, I think that's his name. I don't know why I just lose the train of thought here. He went in and he actually played, and then Stiegel was pretty upset because, I mean, they lost in Saskatchewan. I don't think the Saskatchewan Roughriders would have won the 107th Grey Cup in Toronto in the Sky Dome. There's a lot of green there, cedar green. A lot of Winnipeg fans, but a lot more Saskatchewan Roughrider fans. But that's switched now. I want to talk about that as well, because Winnipeg is the #1 CFL franchise, and for crowd support, attendance, and for noise, they are, not Saskatchewan. Anyway, but it was reversed then. It was Saskatchewan. But back in 2007, Saskatchewan Roughriders won. And because Kevin Glenn wasn't quarterbacking, and I'm sorry, but it's true. And I don't think Saskatchewan Roughriders would have won that game. They didn't play that good, but they did. So anyway, and I got the 2000 Grey Cup game hat up there. I got all the hats out for my son. I first took him to Calgary when he was 14 years old. Took him to the 2000 Grey Cup, and the Guess Who played halftime. And played Share the Land to finish it off. It opened with the bus ride, I think, and did No Time, Share the Land. Anyway, so yes, that was a fond memory, first time, and he lives in Calgary now. I took him to Banff and the hot springs and everything. We had a good time, and the BC Lions beat the Montreal Alouettes at Damon Allen in the 2000 Grey Cup, and then I took him to the 2009 Grey Cup in Calgary. He took me, and the 13th Man Grey Cup, and the Montreal Alouettes won. And because it was 13th man on the field, they would have lost. They kicked the field goal the last play of the game, and they missed, and then went 10 yards closer to the goalpost, and he kicked it through because of the 13th man being on the field. It was a penalty call, Saskatchewan Roughriders. So there was a lot of green there, and there was a lot of sad green Rider fans, okay? And their watermelons weren't dripping, their eyes were. So, but I was happy for Calvillo because he was going through cancer, and his wife was going through cancer, so that was a great Grey Cup in Calgary. And when Winnipeg Blue Bombers won the Grey Cup in Calgary as well, I got the hat, you know, when we were there together, and that was I think 2007 Grey Cup in Calgary. Well, sorry, the 107th Grey Cup. Okay, that was the 107th Grey Cup 2 years ago or so, before the pandemic. Okay, so anyway, so that's when that was. But and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers won the Grey Cup, beat Hamilton Tiger Cats that played terrible, I thought. Big crowd in Calgary, 36,000, and Keith Urban played at halftime, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers won the Grey Cup, first time in 29 years, and there was a fan there, a Winnipeg Blue Bomber loyal fan. I mean, unbelievably loyal fan that decided that he's gonna wear shorts until 29 years, every day until he put his jeans back on until Winnipeg won the Grey Cup. And he was there amongst the players, and he was out there, and he took his shirt, put his jeans on. Seriously, it's a true story. I saw it. We saw it on the video screen up top. So anyway, sorry about rambling a little bit to start it off, the first 5 minutes, but I wanted to just go over that a bit. And I've been to other numerous Grey Cups of my own too. Several of the Big O and in Toronto. I was to the Saskatchewan Rough Riders that was just on ESPN, and the Ottawa Rough Riders Tony Gabriel passed. I was to that game. I was pretty young. I was to that game. It's on the 40-yard line. It was like 45,000 people there. And the Blue Jays used to play baseball there, but I was to that game. That was a great game, really. So, you know, a lot of good memories. And in Montreal too, at Grey Cups. And I want to get to a Grey Cup. You know, I'd like to go back to Montreal, the Big O. I like to go to Vancouver and BC Place. I like to do that. Hamilton even, you know. Ottawa, I'd love to go to Ottawa to a Grey Cup. But I'm going to be doing more Grey Cups before I'm no longer on this planet, because you don't know what's going to happen with your health. My age is a senior now. I could die tomorrow with a heart attack. I could have, you know, I went through all these injuries in my ribs. I still have problems. I have lung problem here, breathing at times, and because I broke all the ribs here and my chest rib cage, you know, main cage with the cartridge, ribs over here, ribs down here, ribs in my back, 12 ribs total, and it took me, and now it's like a long time, you know, since February, so, you know, you count the months, and I'm still in pain. I sleep on this side, okay, because that was my best side. I broke most of them here, and here, the main chest area, and back here, the ribs, and all the way back to my shoulder blade. It pains me just to reach up, because all that muscular damage is still there. But my ribs are not broken anymore, but I have a lot of healing yet to do because of the impact. Because it was so, I almost died, actually. I couldn't get my breath for almost 4 minutes. It was terrible. I fell on the ice trying to help my aunt. She had China virus in her chest, and I was going to go pick medicine up at Shoppers Drug Mart, and I had a window. And I put my rubber boots on and went down and went up in the air in the dark in front of my garage and came down hard, really hard. And that's what I did. Punctured my lung too. So anyway, I don't want to talk about that anymore. It's too depressing. Let's get on with it. I want to talk about the Eastern Final in Toronto. The Argonauts, McLeod Bethel Thompson, he's 34 years old. He's been with the Argonauts since 2017. So he's pretty loyal. And that's what I like about him. And that's what I don't like about the one-year contracts. But he's the epitome, really, what a CFL player should be. American or Canadian. He's dedicated to the CFL. He's dedicated to the Toronto Argonauts. I hope the Toronto Argonauts win. Nothing against you, Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans, because it was for Winnipeg last time. It's just that it'd be good for the CFL. And I want to talk about Zach Polaris too and his injury. He didn't practice yesterday, and he's got an ankle injury. Something's wrong. I don't know if it's a knee or what. Nobody really knows. But they saw him walking off the plane. But they may be just saving him, and it could be the ankle, and they give him a shot, you know, in that ankle, and the way he goes. So you'll probably see him play. He won't be 100%. I don't think so. But like Winnipeg Blue Bombers got a good team all around. Special teams, that Grant, that big touchdown in the Western Final in Winnipeg. That boisterous crowd, that loud crowd. It was over 30,000. There was supposedly 21,000 in Toronto. I think that number was a little high. I'm going to go over that in a sec. But getting back to the Bombers, they get fantastic defense. They get a fantastic running back that replaced Andrew Harris, and they have a good defensive team O-line, and they have a great offensive O-line, you know, despite the Canadian ratio. But the Canadian ratio, it's just horrible because you can't possibly have non-competitive teams in the CFL with the Canadian ratio. You can't even have 4 really competitive teams. You can't. So that's how bad the Canadian ratio is, and it's going to get worse next year. And the one-year contracts are just awful. I'll get back to that in a second, and get back to the movement in the CFL and the one-year contracts. But in Toronto, the Alouettes played well, but they had a problem. They were slipping on the grass, you know, but it was supposed to be a little bit of sleet or snow, but there wasn't. But you know, Toronto were more adapted. They were more adapted to it, and they although they were slipping too a bit, but Montreal had more trouble. But still, Toronto deserved to win the game. They're up 19 points, but it came down to, like, I think, a touchdown in the end. 8 points, the BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but that would have been a touchdown and a 2-point convert. They could tie, but Nathan York, he looked like a real rookie there, you know, wasting 20 seconds, but I mean, they were pinned down in their 10-yard line or 12-yard line or something, 15. But anyway, you know, he didn't handle the clock well. They wouldn't have got down the field anyway for a touchdown and a 2-point convert. Winnipeg Blue Bombers deserved to win, and then Nathan York all of a sudden, and it's not for the BC fans, right away he's down the NFL trying out. It's terrible. That's terrible as far as I'm concerned. I know, like, he's going after the big money and so forth, and the CFL's looked down on because it's all about money. That's what I don't like with the NFL. It's all about money with the NFL. Money. Brady's talking about going to the CFL. Like, he said that he may go up to the CFL, you know, after he's over with the NFL. Well, he'd be a bum, you know, because the NFL, outdoor arena football. I mean, seriously. I turned it after watching the Winnipeg Blue Bomber Western Final, which was a fantastic game. And the crowd, by the way, Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans, you were fantastic. Too bad you didn't know my CFL Red Zone rule, because you've been chanting in the Red Zone. We went Spyder CFL Red Zone rule. And every game, the CFL fans and CFL stadiums would be chanting in the Red Zone. We went Spyder CFL Red Zone rule, because it's there every game, just staring CFL right in the eye, just waiting for it to be adopted. And it's just brutal. There's so many repetitive 2-down football stops in the red zone where they won't go for it on 3rd down on the 2-yard line. Only on the 1-yard line they go. From the 2, the 3, the 4, 5-yard line up to the 20-yard line, they don't go. They play boring, dreadful 2-down football that no football fan wants to see, and especially in a 3-down game, and resulting in another easy, boring, predictable, distasteful, non-eventful, easy chip shot field goal. That's hard to say sometimes. Easy chip shot field goal. Anyway, that's what's killing our CFL game, and that's what my CFL Red Zone rule will completely eliminate it. Remarkably completely eliminate. I use that term. But anyway, that's zinger. But anyway, let's talk about, let's go back. We'll go back to the Western Final in a minute. Toronto Argonauts, Bethel Thompson. I like that he throws the ball down the field. I like that. He plays real exciting 3-down football. Can you imagine a team like Winnipeg Blue Bombers, these teams that vertically throw the ball for big plays, with my CFL Red Zone rule, they would be going for it with bigger plays to get in the red zone, because they know they get in the red zone, they'll be playing exciting 3-down football. If the 3rd down is needed, score a touchdown with my CFL Red Zone rule. And if they maintain possession of the ball and they're stopped in 3rd down, and they're not pushed outside the red zone, or there's not a turnover in the red zone, they get Spyders. They still, because my CFL Red Zone rule says CFL Red Zone rule is an enforcement rule, they still get rewarded with my CFL Red Zone rule kick from the 35, add the 7 from the 42-yard, which is a challenging kick, by the way. Adds even more drama and excitement to my CFL Red Zone rule, which is a fantastic bonus, bonus rule, in there. And then there's the optional provision part. That is an optional provision part. I like the way it plays out, but it could solidify. It could make it 100% foolproof, because in the last 10 seconds it allows the CFL team in 1st, 2nd, 3rd down okay, or in the last 10 seconds of each half of the game to kick the ball, okay, in this case in the last 10 seconds it would be the field goal, okay, on the first, second, and third down in the red zone to either tie the game or to win the game. Or tie the game, force an overtime, or to win the game. That's the obstacle division part. You can find it on my Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule Facebook page when I go over my CFL Red Zone Rule in a nutshell and so forth, and then in detail, and then the obstacle division part. So it's on my Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule Facebook page, everything, including my last presentation that I presented to the CFL Commission. They was anxious for. They said he was going to present to the Interfacial Rules Committee that he screwed me on, and was very deceitful and betrayed me, and because he didn't. They know about it, I can tell you that much, and they just pushed it aside because of jealousy, because of ego, because they didn't come up with themselves, because of because it was me, CFL fan, who came up, created it. They didn't want to be outdone by a CFL fan that come up with a way more fantastic, powerful, superior rule. Probably it will be the biggest rule ever adopted by the CFL. The CFL to wisely adopt it and what it can do. I get all the 10 super features and benefits outlined in my presentation, and what it can do from the business side as well. It'd be phenomenal, and you know that's why they pushed it aside. And Steve Armitage said the only reason, because my magnitude of my rule is so big and what it can do, okay, for our CFL 3-down game, make it a lot more exciting, he said, a lot more entertaining to watch and be part of. He says the only way it's not adopted is if because the CFL is jealous, and because of ego, and because it wasn't their baby, they didn't come up with themselves. And that's why they push it aside and try to suppress it and silence it. Can you imagine that? And Steve Armitage said they should do the opposite. So did my brother. Said they should do the opposite. He said, what a story for the CFL to tell and sell. And it's true. And this is what's happening. But anyway, it's awful what they're doing. But somehow I got to get the word out. I got to get on radio. I got to get a radio podcast. I have to really keep pushing this. Okay, because CFL fans obviously don't know about it, because if CFL fans all knew about it, and that's why they're suppressing it, they'd be chanting loud in the red zone. Every CFL game, we want Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule. I can guarantee you. And all the mass market, see the NFL only fans that don't watch the CFL, the younger generation fans that don't watch the CFL. That's the mass market. That's who needs to know about my Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule. Like two Edmund Eskimo fans, younger generation fans, said to me that I gave them a brochure. They said, Spyder, they said, they were really sold on my CFL Red Zone Rule. They said, how are you going to get it out there so everybody knows about it? And all the younger generation fans, all the NFL fans, all know about this. To start going to CFL games, start watching, going to CFL games. They got to know about this, and he's right. How am I going to get my CFL Red Zone Rule out there? Well, I got to be more aggressive. I got to go on radio. I got to go on the Green Zone this week during the Grey Cup. I got to have a podcast, a radio podcast. I have to get aggressive, and I can't stop, because if all the sports fans, mass market sports fans, know about my Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule, they're going to be sold on it big time. Just like the 550 I surveyed that were blown away by it. They're going to be sold on it. And they're going to want it made part of a CFL 3-down game. And then it's going to spread like fire, that all the CFL fans know that go to CFL games, they're going to, in the red zone, they're going to be chanting loud, we want Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule. That's what has to happen ultimately. And then it'll be adopted, because they have no choice. And Brosey, you know, like this commissioner is terrible. Like, if they renew his contract again, the owners are crazy. But he's sucking up to the BC owner by giving him the Grey Cup in 2 years. So he's trying to do these things to save his job, that he gets a new contract. But I hope they don't, because they never should have hired him to begin with. Because what he's done to the CFL, he's destroyed it. And what he's done to my CFL Red Zone Rule, how he betrayed me and was so dishonest and deceitful and so forth, and suppressing it, because it makes a complete fool of all their new rules, especially their big one, their Hashmark rule, right? Smoking, like I said, they must have been smoking hash when going with that. That's an absolute joke, and it's garbage. And my CFL Red Zone Rule blows it away. But I don't want to get into that, because I did a lot of that last session. I want to talk about the Grey Cup in Regina this week, the 109th Grey Cup in Regina. Saskatchewan Rough Riders never made the playoffs. and Hamilton Tiger Cats got beat by the Alouettes in Montreal in the semifinal, and Stampeders got beat by the BC Lions in the Western semifinal. Okay, they didn't play well at all. I was saying, I don't know if I was saying this or in my last, but I can't remember if I was, but I'll say it now. So, Dave Dickinson's play calling is terrible. He plays like NFL two-down football, like little sideways passes. That narrow hash mark makes it even worse because the sideways short little passes on 10 are even shorter, and the result is more two and outs. They don't throw the ball vertically down field. They didn't the whole game. It was brutal, except when Bolivar Mitchell came in and made 2 good passes. Okay, but to Henry, but that's it. But that doesn't mean Bolivar Mitchell is going to eat it, like blow away the CFL if he plays for Hamilton or Saskatchewan, wherever he signs for, because they released him, or Stampeders to the Hamilton Tiger Cats is right. So, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we'll see. I hope he proves me wrong. We'll see. It'd be good for the CFL if that happens. But getting back to Nathan Rourke, he just goes right away. No respect for the fans. Right away, he's right down. Despite his ankle surgery, everything, he's right down right away. You know, it's unbelievable, right? And that's what I don't like about the CFL, is that the one-year contracts are brutal. They don't mean nothing. So you can't develop a quarterback. Like the Saskatchewan Roughriders can't really develop a quarterback, and no CFL team, because of one-year contracts, because they can get out of them. Every player can, including the quarterbacks. And Ambrosi caused all this with the Canadian Players Association, because he's in bed with them. He did this. He did this. He was the cause of this. He caused all this. Okay? So, anyway, I don't want to, because I talked about that the last session, but I want to talk more about the Grey Cup coming up. And Bolivar Mitchell will do what he's going to do. But he's all about money. He tried to go to the NFL too. He's not loyal. And if the NFL is so good, why are they raping the CFL all the time? And 27 Canadian players down there. And that's the reason the CFL cannot have a Canadian ratio. Cannot. But they get the crumbs, right? You can't have players that have no business being on a CFL field only there because of Canadian ratio. How's that sell CFL three-down football? Well, it doesn't. Look at the attendance. Look at all the abundance of empty seats in the CFL. Okay, so the CFL's got major issues. The one-year contract, the Canadian ratio, flags, and more flags. The red zone problem, where way too many 2-and-outs in the red zone, and way too many non-eventful easy chip shot field goals because of 2-down football stops in the red zone. That doesn't sell CFL 3-down football. It's actually a huge killer. It's the 2 biggest killers of a CFL 3-down game. But my CFL red zone will completely eliminate, remarkably completely eliminate. Can you imagine what a rule that is? And that would really sell CFL 3-down football and create a buzz around CFL, a tremendous buzz around CFL 3-down football like never before. If my CFL red zone rule was adopted, and that's a fact. So the Grey Cup this week. What's going to happen in the Grey Cup? The Western Final was great. The Winnipeg fans made it really exciting to watch on TV. They were phenomenal. They're really behind that team, and they're going to show up in droves probably in Saskatchewan for the 109th Grey Cup in Regina on November 20th on Sunday. I'll be watching. So who's going to win? Toronto Argonauts and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Okay. And everybody thinks that we should go to one division because they don't think the 2 best teams are in. I think the Toronto Argonauts are underrated. Okay, and I'll tell you why. They throw the ball. They have a good offensive line. They have a good defensive line. They have a good secondary. You know, Peters, McMahon. They're good. They have, if they're hopefully not injured. They're not injured. I think it's McGinnis. I forget his name. I know one guy is injured for the year. We saw him touchdown landing. I forget his name. He's gone. But anyway, but the Toronto Argonauts have a lot of talent, and they're well coached. Dinwiddie is a good coach, and he's young, but he's good. And they're aggressive. They throw the ball downfield. They got a good running game too, and they got Andrew Harris. That he come back with injury, he'll be a factor because he'll have revenge against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and so he'll be a factor. So it's going to be an interesting game. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who's got a quarterback? It's going to be Brown, you know, or is it going to be Sack Claris? Or is he going to, they got to, like, spot him? I don't know what's going to happen there. It's going to be interesting to find out. The closed practice today in Regina, so, but there'll be some news coming off that, about that. So, prediction for the Grey Cup, 109th Grey Cup in Regina on Sunday, November 20th. And I hope they move the season up 2 more weeks, because I like to see the Grey Cup at the end of October. Around Halloween. I'd love to see it then, or the first week in November. But anyway, prediction. Well, Winnipeg Blue Bombers should, in case I want to say Bloomers, sorry, Winnipeg Blue Bombers should win the Grey Cup. The 3rd time. It's like a dynasty. I mean, Edmonton, remember, when they won 5 straight Grey Cups. They should win. But I'm hoping the Argonauts will win, and I think they could win. Depends on how well the turnovers and penalties and so forth. Depends on the referees. If there's any, if the fix is in, whatever, they want Winnipeg, because Ambrosie's from Winnipeg, you know, like, you know, like it's, I didn't like what I saw this year with the referees in going down the stretch, going into the playoffs, how there are definitely politics going on, and I don't like that with the CFL. That has to stop. But anyway, go, Argonauts go. I have the original Argonaut and Blue Bomber feature hats there, okay? They're the 2 people facing off for the big prizes. The Grey Cup. I love the trophy. It's the best looking trophy in sports, I think. Even more attractive than the Stanley Cup, personally, I think. And when it's single Canada, tears come to my eyes. I'm so Canadian, and I'm so proud to be Canadian. I'm so proud to be a CFL fan, and to be able to watch the 109th Grey Cup, and I hope you watch it too. And be Canadian. Come on. We gotta back our own brands. You know, watching NFL football, not watching the CFL, the Grey Cup. You should be ashamed of yourself. Anyway, take care of yourself. Go Argonauts, go. Spyder, here comes Spyder, CFL Reds are rule. They need my rule. It's needed in the CFL, big time. And it'll be the biggest rule ever adopted by the CFL.